When you pick up a child, you change their perspective.
Look like success, look like money. If you look good, that's a huge step in building an amazing brand.
When you walk in that room, your confidence is evident because you have swag. But we can't talk about leadership without taking a look at executive presence. When I think about executive presence, we've all met a person. They just walk in the room, we don't know who they are, but just something about them says leadership. I call it the sizzle and the steak. When I think about executive leadership, we have to bring both. We have to project an image that we handle business and we're leaders, but then we have to actually deliver when a person experiences our leadership. So I'm going to go through some characteristics to make sure you completely understand what executive leadership is all about. Leaders with executive presence are decisive. They don't fumble over the decisions. They don't think too wrong. They don't panic. They just make a quick call. No second guessing. So I don't know if you have to do pro or con. Take your time. But once you make that call, it's made because peak performing leaders are decisive. That is your job, mama. That is your job, daddy. That is your job, grandma. That is your job, granddad. Your number one job is to pick them up and change their perspective. My saddest day, one day, my daddy looked at me and he said, boy, you too big. I can't pick you up anymore. But when he couldn't pick me up physically, he would pick me up emotionally. He would pick me up spiritually. I had a great dad because he would always pick me up. He would always change. So my daddy called me on the phone. He asked me a question. He said, son, you had a tough year. What's next? I said, Dad, I'm going to be a hospital administrator. He said, not bad, but let me ask you a question, son. Do you believe you're an NBA player? Do you believe you can play in the NBA, son? Before I knew it, my bottom lip started to twitch. My daddy asked that question one more time. He said, son, do you believe that you're an NBA player? You can't outproduce your self-image, son. If you don't think so, go take the job. But if you believe you're an NBA player, go for it. My dad had the self-control and discipline and waited for my answer. And my answer was yes. You're right, Dad. I can't work the rest of my life. But playing in the NBA is a dream. I've had ever since I was a little boy. He said, go for it, son.
And for years, people told me that talk is cheap. I'm a full-time motivational speaker. I make a living talking. Now, this is not correct English, but talk ain't cheap, if you know what you're talking about. So I want to tell you my story this morning and give you some information and motivation to make sure that you live your dream. How about that? Now, here's your typical NBA story. You guys all heard it before. Young black man grows up in the rough and tough inner city, the ghetto. He plays his way out the ghetto into the NBA, only to go broke again. Lesson number one, if you want to be successful in life, cut off the news. The media's job is not to tell us the truth. The media's job is to make money. The media has figured out that America is addicted to negative information, so every night at 6, what do we get? If you paid attention to the media, you would swear every black guy in the NBA goes broke, and we were all raised by single moms in some inner city somewhere. My story is very different. My story is very unique. I promise you, my story you have never heard before in your life. My father was 6'6", 240 pounds. My father said what he meant, and he meant what he said. My daddy was a country boy from Tennessee, moved to Chicago to raise his family, and became a high school principal. Everyone in my family has master degrees. I didn't play my way out the ghetto. I was going to college anyway. If I needed some money, I would say, yo, Pops, I need some money. My daddy drove Lincoln Continentals as long as it stayed. But here's where my life got tricky.
Hey, my name is Walter Bob, and on my way to the NBA, and also as an award-winning motivational speaker and business coach, what access and opportunity can do. Access and opportunity change your life. But here's what we all know and understand, that a lot of times, the playing field is not even. So what I want to talk about right now is healthcare. The playing field in healthcare is not even. Sickle cell and leukemia are literally attacking black people in droves. And the truth is, only 25% of our patients have a chance to find a cure. Now here's what I learned about being an athlete and a speaker. I'm really a much better participant than spectator. In fact, I hate being a spectator, but I love to participate. And if you come and participate with me, we can even this playing field. All you gotta do is take a cotton swab and swab your mouth. That can save a life.
The only reason I made it to the NBA, the only reason I'm an award-winning Hall of Fame motivational speaker, give it up to Check Creative. They turned this thing out. They have brought you me, and I'm not cheap. The only way I made it to the NBA business, people, was that I mastered the fundamentals of basketball. Every single day I had to drill, dribbling, shooting, rebounding, passing, defense. I had to get in great shape, the greatest shape of my life. The only reason I made it to the NBA is because I mastered the fundamentals of basketball. So when we left basketball and got into business,
We didn't focus on making money. Your biggest mistake right now, you need to shift. Stop focusing on money. If I were you, the focus is not money. The focus should be the mastery of business fundamentals. Basketball is about fundamentals. You have to dribble the ball, you have to shoot the ball, you have to pass the ball. I don't care what level you play, you still have to execute the fundamentals. You know what I've learned? Sales and business have fundamentals. If you want to be an awesome salesperson, you must understand the fundamentals of sales. The most fundamental aspect of sales is being a great relationship builder. Sure, you should have product knowledge, but please understand this. If you want to increase your sales, get as much information as you can get on building relationships fast. I went to the University of Minnesota. I showed up on campus the first day. I met my first teammate, and it went something like this. Please don't cross that line into arrogance, because here's why. I met my first teammate, and I said, "What's up, man? My name is Walt Bond, all state from Chicago." My college career was over. I got offered a job to become a hospital administrator. 2-year program, $75,000 job. And right before I took the job, my daddy called me on the phone. Let me tell you about my daddy. When I was a little boy, my daddy would always pick me up. When he came home from work, he picked me up. When he saw me in the nursery after church, he picked me up. No matter how long he worked, no matter how tired he was, my daddy would always pick me up. So when I had my kids, I would always pick up my kids. When I got home, sometimes I was tired. They have a bottle in one hand, and they just lifted up the other hand, and they knew what daddy was supposed to do. My job was to pick them up. Let me help you out, Advocare. This is a spiritual interaction. When you pick up a child, it is a spiritual transaction. When you pick up a child, you change their perspective. When you pick up a child, all of a sudden they can see the world the way you see it. I don't care what your children have done, there is nothing they can do for you to stop picking them up. Well, my daughter's a drug addict, I don't care, pick her up. I hired and set out the top 10 motivational speakers, watched all their videos, and I watched them one by one because I understand that if I pay attention to what the best are doing, I could be the best too. I watched game film on Michael Jordan. No matter how much I watched, I couldn't do what Michael Jordan could do. I would watch Magic Johnson. I couldn't do what Magic Johnson would do, but I sat there and had these videos. I watched Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins. My wife was scared. I was scared. I called her to my office and I said what husbands say. I said, "Babe, we're gonna be okay." Every month the checking account was dwindling. I said, "Babe, we're gonna be okay. Let's start a motivational speaking business. We're gonna be okay." She said, like most wives do. How? I need detail. See, men, if you're married and your wife's engaged in the business, let her be engaged in the business, because women bring something that we don't bring. In many cases, they bring detail. Oh, I got great ideas. I'm big picture, but I'm horrible with detail. My wife is fabulous with details. That's why we're successful, because we work together. So I brought my wife into the office and I said, "Babe, I got good news. We're not gonna go broke. We're not gonna be a casualty. We're not gonna be like these other athletes." And she said, "How?" And I said, "Babe, I'm watching these motivational speakers.